Hello and welcome back, everyone. And we have got an absolutely brilliant speaker again tonight on the Unstoppable Mumpreneurs Telesummit. Thank you for joining us again. Welcome if you're joining us for the first time. Tonight, I'm saying tonight because it's now night time that I am recording this interview. We have an absolutely amazing guest, another one, and her name is Courtney Berry. I'm going to tell you a bit about Michelle, but before this interview is done, you're going to know a whole lot more about her. Now, Courtney Berry launched her first business venture in 1990 as she was completing her graduate degree in risk and health communication at Cornell University. An author, poet, coach, Reiki master, and fitness enthusiast who runs a year-long regional hiking club, Michelle has been featured on PBS, CBS, ABC, NBC, Men's Fitness, and is interviewed often as a stress management expert by nationally recognized women entrepreneurs. Michelle has also walked on fire, climbed one of the highest peaks in the Adirondacks, sung and told stories in a remote village in Africa, appeared on Good Morning America, and received praises from Oprah Winfrey for her work raising funds for children of veterans. She runs 2 award-winning entrepreneurial ventures designed to reduce stress and bolster your bottom line. Overall, Michelle devotes her life to helping entrepreneurs, mumpreneurs, and other visionary leaders lead happier lives and enjoy authentic work-life integration. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Cheryl, so much. I'm honored to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm absolutely honored. Wonderful. So, Michelle, we're going to roll into our questions. I mean,
sure.
And we're going to start with the first one here. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself, about your kids? And I think, if you can also share with us about how you got started on your entrepreneurial journey back in 1990. What was the catalyst for that?
Sure. Well, thanks. I have one child. Her name is Nina. She's 12. And I've got
Megan.
Nina.
Nina, beautiful.
She's named after Nina Simone.
All right.
I'm always complaining, why is she so fiery and stubborn? It's like, well, 1, I am, and 2, I chose her to be named after Nina Simone, right?
Yep. You're gonna get fire there, all right.
So, my long-term goal, or shorter, depending on what her interests are, to one day leave a legacy for her so she can take over my business. I mean, I didn't start out thinking I'd be an entrepreneur, but what led me to the path was I was actually supposed to just be in my studies in graduate school. And a professor, I was always one of those egghead kind of pick me, I'm smart, blah, blah. And one of my professors couldn't go to a conference in Washington, D.C., and his wife said, if you leave town without fixing the leaky roof, we're going to get a divorce. So he was looking for a student to replace him. So he found a precocious student, which I've always been, and he sent me to the conference. And my job was just to recruit speakers to come back to Cornell. But while I was sitting in the audience, I looked around and I realized there weren't a lot of women making decisions, fiscal decisions at the high level about food policy. And I thought, well, that's a mistake because women really are the makers and shakers and the movers and shakers making those food decisions. And I didn't see many people of color at all, so I was in a minority. And what happened on the panel is I raised my hand and I said, all of you are making some decisions that need bigger input, bigger voices, and I also talked about some research we were doing around just risk communication. And a head of an agricultural division pulled me aside and said, well, we were in Michigan at the he goes, I live in Michigan, but I have to check to see if people are doing this in Michigan. If they're not, we want to bring you in. And I was just a graduate student in New York at Cornell University. So when I got back to my department, they'd already sent word that they wanted me, that Michigan State or Michigan University, University of Michigan weren't doing this research. So I got on a plane, I flew there, I got on a panel, I did an interview, and then you couldn't tell me anything. I was like, oh, I'm a speaker, people want me, And I very much underpriced myself. I think I told the Michigan Department of Agriculture freelancer, my first client, I would take no less than $300 to.
Wow.
Okay, who knew? Later they said, we probably would have paid you $3,000. So, you know, it was kind of the professor's leaky roof and the fact that I was able to talk about risk communication, which was in my field. And then I decided, what if I expanded the topic to talk about health? So I started my business right away, and I've worked for lots of people in addition to running my business part-time. But once I went out full-time and started really focusing on how people get healthier at work, I realized, you know, I don't know if I could ever go back into the workplace because of all the, you know, health issues my clients bring to me about being in the workplace. And I think for women, being an entrepreneur, particularly busy moms, it allows me more flexibility. And if I want to go out for a bike ride with my daughter, I don't have to ask anyone's permission to go on a sunny day. If I was trapped in an office working for somebody else, I would. So, I mean, the genesis of kind of learning what I liked and also knowing that I had to get my ducks in a row and build a financial platform before I went out on my own was really important. So I don't disregard the work I did for other people. It really helped train me in my field. But I really love working on my own, and working with different clients all the time gives the job a difference each day. I never know what I'm going to face when I, you know, answer the emails or get on Skype, etc.
Fantastic, fantastic. So you got into entrepreneurialism pretty much right out of, you weren't even out of grad school yet, were you?
No, that's it.
Awesome.
I had a lemonade stand when I was a kid, and you would have thought I was the first person who ever sold lemonade. I was very, you know, important. And my father said, you're probably going to end up an entrepreneur. He goes, but you have to learn to stop drinking all the lemonade. So, yeah.
Oh, precious advice there. Lovely. No, thank you for sharing that. Very, very interesting. So, early days, other than underpricing yourself considerably, what were some of the challenges that you encountered, and how did you overcome them?
Sure. Well, early on, a challenge that I encountered was underpricing myself, which I see a lot of my women entrepreneurs and mompreneur clients really do, like give everything away, be afraid to ask for your price. And I had a difficulty kind of figuring out price points. So I'd often undercharge and then be working way more hours and then feeling pretty resentful about it and hiding it, you know. I think women also hide resentment that we often feel about things. So I was stuffing. I was a hypocrite in the beginning. I was stuffing down a lot of emotion, and I was very stressed out. And then I'd try to go on and pretend. You know, you can fake it till you make it, right? At some point, you do need to follow your own advice so your clients find you more realistic and they can breathe into your experience as opposed to you kind of acting. It took me a few years to kind of figure out that I did want my private life to match my public life around stress. And a mistake I made is I thought I had to hide all that from clients. But you actually, like you tell the story of I've been there with you, or it's still hard to figure out how not to feel guilty about time you put into your business versus time you're going to spend with family. And so I'm just honest about that. Or there are days when I will literally say when I speak to people in big rooms, I'll say, you know, it is hard to feel important at times, like value yourself when you've just scooped some cat litter. I mean, in the end, like, you know, I've got pets, and my daughter has a fish, and we have 2 cats, and these were pets she said she'd all take care of, you know, and I'm finding that. And I also think really believing in yourself fully. You know, you'll be swayed by other people. People give you opinions who've never run a business before, and if you listen to them, you really won't run your business too. That's
right.
So I think being careful to have keen advisors who actually know business. And I would family gets involved, and they can be so influential, but there are times when they really start telling you things and you realize, well, they don't really understand business, you know. So, and it can be a risk, you know, and it's not true that entrepreneurs are naturally you know, risk takers. A lot of entrepreneurs are actually risk averse, and recognizing that you are afraid and have risks. There's nothing wrong with fear. We all have it. So I don't think it's about becoming.
What we do with it.
Yeah, it's what we do with it. So I think understanding that we have fears and understanding we sometimes get inappropriate advice. And I surrounded myself with a lot of mentors in the beginning, but I think maybe because it was a normal model, they were mostly male. And I'm not saying that was a mistake, because the men had a lot of access to financing to other businesses they already own. But I think in terms of leveling the playing field, when I really recognized that as a woman entrepreneur, I needed to talk to more women and have them coach me, was a good turnaround for my business, because men can understand you when they run a business, but they're not women. And so getting women at the table who were also moms made a huge difference. I finally started to feel sane, because we all go to the meetings like impeccably dressed and nothing out of place in our little briefcase. And finally somebody's like, I'm starving, I haven't eaten in 2 days. Another one's like, I ate a whole bag of Doritos just before I came here. It just really made everything a lot more normalized. You know, we could take down the mask and just realize that we're all imperfect. We're all real.
I had a similar conversation earlier with another expert mompreneur about that, the importance of being real, of coming across real as well. And yes, you are right. We are different, and that's okay. Men and women, we are different. But it does make a difference, to use the word again, or another form of it, when we make those connections to support each other as women. We understand better where we're coming from.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, got you there. Lovely. So, excuse me, what are some of the challenges that come up for you now? You know, you've been in business for a long time. You know, and you know, certainly more established, more grounded. But I'm sure you have, you know, challenges that crop up for you still. What are some of them, and how do they show up, or how do you manage them?
Well, definitely, I, like anybody else, I'm still kind of trying to get that balance down between how much to put into work and how much to put into home. And the number one request my clients have, or prospects have, are always, how do we build some sort of work-life balance? And we're calling it work-life integration because work-life balance was a difficult thing for us to get our arms around, because we never had our work over here and our life over here, and had it all make, you know, some magical sense of a line of delineation between. They're always were merged. So in terms of work-life integration, there are times when I realize I'm just going to have to go. And I'm not going to see family as much during a particular time frame. So a difficulty I often have is being really honest about that. Like going to be, you know, vanishing, a ghost during these time periods, because I want to say yes all the time. I don't want to say no to the family. Particularly not my daughter and that sweet face, you know, she's just so adorable, you know.
Oh, how old is your daughter?
She's 12 going on 25. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. No, I do get it. You know, I remember a couple of years ago, I was listening to one of Lisa Nichols' YouTube videos, and it's one where she was having a chat with, I think it was Marcy Shimoff. And, you know, there was a point at which she turned away and to face the camera and said, you know, we're always facing challenges. They just get different, you know, the more established you become. And it was quite humbling. It was a quite humbling moment, you know, to get that moment of honesty and vulnerability from Lisa Nichols. Yes, life isn't, you know, picture perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, great, good stuff. And you're right, the saying no to family bit, that's a hard piece. That's a hard piece, especially when I think sometimes, and it's no judgment on our families whatsoever, they don't always understand this business thing, you know, and where our heads at. And we've got lots going on in here business-wise, things to sort, you know, some compartments clashing, you know, and it's hard to explain that or share that. So I guess it deepens the confusion even more. But I get you there, yeah. Lovely. All right. So you have been doing a lot of work with women over the years. What's the number one obstacle that you see holding most mompreneurs back, and what advice would you give them to help them overcome it?
Yes, I would say burnout is the number one obstacle that I see and I used to be burned out myself, and so it's been easier to help other people because I better recognize the points of when you're really overloaded. So burnout and exhaustion seems to be a huge challenge. I think it used to be self-confidence or confidence in self, but I'm seeing more and more women really knowing that it's already there and they have it and they don't have to be perfect. We just have to, give our best. But I definitely think in giving our best, we tend to go overboard. And I see a big challenge is that we go. And I even still experience this myself because there are times I have deadlines or travel and I just have to do it. But then I feel like I lose so much time in recovery. Almost better if there wasn't a job that said you must be back in at this time, because I might take 2 days after because it's normal to have some time off. But then I just feel when I finally do rest and sleep, wanting more and more. So I realized that I could actually have made some course corrections or said, I can't burn the midnight oil on this day. I'm just going to have to get some sleep. And I love how we stay up to get something in that no one's looking for. We've already proven ourselves. So I think in some way we're auditioning a lot or asking for permission when we already have the job, or we're not content with ourselves. Like in a lot of ways, we push to be a perfectionist, and there is no perfect. And I just think if we would tolerate a little bit more mediocrity in ourselves, some days it's just going to be mediocre. You're not going to hit it always. But if you got sleep and if you ate well and if you moved around outside or got some exercise inside even, it's actually going to build your capacity. So I think people sometimes put off their workout because they're like, I'm too busy, and they don't see that fitness and wellness are connected to capacity, profits, wealth building, etc. So I think recognizing the signs of burnout, having a course correction for it, and having a coach or a very close friend or a buddy who can tell you things like other people will be afraid to tell you, like, yeah, you might have that project done right now, but I'm a little scared of you because you really are so wired on caffeine and enthusiasm. Like, I'm like, let's go, and everybody's like, whoa, like too much.
I think, Michelle, caffeine has nothing on adrenaline.
You're right. That's true, Cheryl.
True. When you're excited about something, I know, what you just said there is absolutely priceless, because, and I'll be honest here, even now when I get stuck in with something and it's really up my street, I would have to talk myself into going into bed. Oh, come on, Osha, this is silly. It's 3 a.m. and you have to get up at 5,
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, and there are times when we do have to manage that.
Yes.
Because, yes, burnout is around the corner, and then we're no good to ourselves, we're no good to anyone. So, a very priceless piece you shared. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Great, good stuff. So, and this is what I've been calling the controversial question on this whole in this series. Do you believe that any mom can become a successful, and I like to say holistically successful mompreneur?
Well, that is controversial, right? Because my gut instinct is to say, of course, right? But I don't think anybody, mompreneur or not, is just necessarily suited for being an entrepreneur because of the amount of effort and time and brain it can take. But I do believe, the caveat I'd say is any mompreneur with a burning passion to change the world with their story, with their products, with their coaching, with their gifts can be successful. And you must have that spark. You must feel that you have something that has to be heard by others in your region, nationally, around the world, and believe that with solid conviction. And then I think when you have that can't be created in any way. But when you have that, and you wake up and you say that, yeah, this is what I do, and that's what I'm going to help heal or hold or mold or whatever you're going to do. If you have that, then yes, you can be successful because you have that fire. And then you get the right mentors, and then you get people who help you with building your business, and you have coaching. And if you're willing to do the steps, it's a process, and we all have to be willing to kind of re-examine it. I think as long as you recognize your message is you have something that heals a problem, it's not about what you necessarily want to do. And I think that people who are successful entrepreneurs, I see in them that they have something that brings results for people. They know a pain point, and their product or service addresses a client's pain. And if you are just like, oh, I want to make this, but you haven't examined if it's needed in the marketplace, then you will be unhappy. So if you understand that your work largely becomes ways that you help other people take care of themselves, how they heal, how they get better, how they can maximize their business potential. So it comes from a want to help other people solve problems more than an internal want for yourself just to feel better. You know, if you go out there without knowing if the market can even sustain you, you won't necessarily be successful. And I don't know how success is defined for other people. You know, a long time success just meant for me that other people manifested their biggest dreams and they built whatever they wanted. Over time, it became, okay, this needs to also be tied to money. And that was a kind of way of making money sacred. I mean, for a long time, I was just running a hobby. So it took me a long time.
And a lot of us do. And and largely because we don't know how to monetize it. That vision isn't clear enough. Even we haven't the right advice, mentoring, coaching. So you know what you just shared there, I just drank it in, just totally drank it in, because it's something, another one of the powerful pieces shared on this Telesummit series that I think our listeners really need to hear. As women, we're so passionate about, you know, our core calling. We so want to serve. We can give it away, which a lot of us do, you know, without thinking, well, if we keep giving it away and not, you know, charging our worth for this service, there won't be anything to give away eventually. You know? So you definitely spoke to that. But another powerful piece in there was about re-examining it, getting yourself aligned with the fact that it's not what you want to do, not necessarily at all what you want to do. Does that add value? Is it a service that people are willing to pay for? Oh, and you're right, you know, I totally agree, and it's a very important piece to get on board. I haven't said it yet, and I know we're halfway through now, but please, you know the drill. Take notes. I take lots of notes, because this Telesummit series has been quite a university for me. And much of what I'm noting here as I go, I will share in some form with our listeners. But no, absolutely couldn't pay, or you could pay for it, but it would be handsomely priced, this information that you are imparting. Lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. So our next one here, I probably well know your answer on this already, and our listeners probably might know where you're going to go with this. But work-life balance, work-life blend. Which one, or whatever other name or you know, leanings you may have, which do you tend to veer more towards?
I tend to veer more towards the blend, right? Because I believe that the fiction of that I had my work on one side and my life on another never was true. Not when I was an entrepreneur, not when I, you know, worked the clock for, you know, for my employer. It was always blended. And I think that if we would see that it's blended, so many people have preached things like leave work at work and home at home, and we've been dominated by that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not really realistic, you know. We don't, ever do that. You know, it's if something happens in your family, a death or an accident or illness, or someone's been recently diagnosed with cancer, you don't then go to work wherever you work and say, well, that's over there. Forget about it. It's with you. You know, so I think some of the illness and imbalance we see in the workplace, no matter what, is related to people not working out some of their feelings around things. There's a lot of conflict at work, but smart employers are recognizing that attrition, work conflicts, accidents, tensions, absenteeism, presenteeism are all kind of due to unresolved conflict and stress, unmitigated stress at work. And so, and also at home. So people are being abused in their home situations and they are coming into work. That isn't, you know, they're not going to be able to magically change what happened, but that's why we have intervention programs at work and counseling programs and employee assistance programs and HR. But a lot of people don't feel they can access.
That's right. Exactly
right.
Not
telling anybody. So you need good people around who can recognize signs in employees and workers. You need to recognize those signs in yourself. So I think first just kind of having an openness about how hard some of people's lives are. And so I think until people really manage their stress, it's hard to manifest anything. So, you know, you kind of, it's not, all stress is not bad. Like we say stress and it's, you know, it's good stress. Right. So I think knowing the good stress that kind of says, hey, Cheryl's going to stay up till 3 a.m., but she's going to do this amazing thing that's going to change lives. Like that adrenaline you're getting for that moment, if you were doing it every single moment of every day, that you would be depleted. But those moments when you know you must complete, we all have those late nights. But we recognize that kind of, I want to win the race. I want to get my paper done at school. I want to, you know, cross the finish line. That's good stress that motivates us to do a lot. But the bad stress in which we are, we get pumped full of adrenaline and we're not running anywhere. There's no race. We get pumped full of adrenaline often with high fear, high stress anxiety. And we have no place to put it if we're not working it out, or if we don't even recognize it. At times we're letting things simmer and build up. I mean, one day, you know, I remember the case, I call it, you took my pencil or whatever, or pen. And I was in the office and it was the same person who always like took the thing off your desk, you know, and they came in and they took my pen, and I went, you just can't take my pen, you know, and I hurt myself, and I was like, you know, you see those people at the office where they wrap the tape and it's like coiled around so you can't go far with their pen. It's and I think, how did we get so agitated about our pens, you know? But I think it's because the stakes get so high with everything else that you don't want people in your personal space. You don't want them to take your things. Like someone getting in my space like that was a sign. And I felt that people were kind of encroaching on me in my life. And I think because I wanted to be liked and seen jolly and happy, I was really stuffing down a lot of tension and emotion.
There we go.
And anger. So I think you have to see, like, what are your boundaries and your limitations? You really know yourself. It's because you can't change. Trust me, I've tried, but it does not appear that you can change another human being on the planet, right? And white viewers out there watching, like, you can try to change other people, but other people are going to be other people. So how can you make yourself your best self, be gentle with yourself, not judge yourself, and kind of list out the things you can control and what you can't control. And what I find is I'm often in other people's business or worried about what they think about me and worried about war, all these things I can't, you know, presidents, like all these things I really can't control. But what I can control over here on the, you know, on one side of the table is how I react, how I set up my schedule. And, you know, you learn this from Lisa Nichols, right, about being non-negotiable.
That's right.
Workouts. Even Shanda Sumter talks about that. Like, this is the time of day that I work out. And I think or whatever you do, meditate, pray, what have you, at this particular time, no one else gets on the calendar. And if you're non-negotiable about that and you set your boundaries and people know they just can't treat you any which way, then I think you start to pull in your own sense of self, you know, because I find that the more stress that I'm under is when I feel like I'm kind of wandering and I haven't figured out what I want to do about something, you know, when I'm indecisive. And I think, you know, I think a lot of times women, particularly saying yes to a host of things, that we have no interest in, but we want to be well perceived.
That's right. That's exactly right.
On 7 community boards, because I want to give back to the community. But was I really serving well at 7 meetings? There's some meetings, I don't even know which meeting I was at. I was like, am I at,
oh, bless you.
at the children's meeting? Like I had no clue. So sometimes it's better to do less so you give more.
And
right?
give more.
Serve less so you can actually be more abundant.
That's right.
You can't be all things to all people. Anyhow, I think trying that makes the work-life balance even more insane, or not. So that's why it becomes a work-life balance, because you're like, I'm giving to all. But if you think it's a work-life blend and integration, then you think, well, okay, maybe I'll bring some problems home, but after 6 o'clock or whatever time at night, I'm done with that, and I have to focus on these things. And I actually have to rewire my brain. And I tell the family, we don't talk about problems at bedtime, because it won't allow us to sleep.
That's
so
right.
if we've got a concern or an issue with each other, with the world, this is the time frame. And being really firm about that, because you really can't work out those problems while you're in bed at night. So if you set a time to worry before you go to bed, you'll actually deeper sleep,
Kind of
But all this is trial and error, trust me.
Of course.
I didn't always know any of these things.
Of course. No. You're sharing absolute, precious wisdom there. And it is going to be different for everyone. We've got to find what works for us. But a lot shared there. Totally important pieces. Great. You have a daughter. She's 12 years old, and she would have definitely joined you in this world when you were already a mompreneur. How has, your being a mompreneur impacted her?
Well, that's a great question. I was just talking to my husband and I were just kind of sitting down talking about how, kind of her seeing my independence has really seemed to shape her. She has a lot more, and I think this generation of children coming along, a lot more efficacy, and she knows her rights. I didn't have rights or feelings when I was a kid. They were kind of me, and she will be like, I have rights here. And I'm like, wow, where does she get that from? And she sets boundaries with other people. She says no. And she sees a lot of independence and freedom in her mom. And so she sees it in herself. She does do a lot of the same things that I do. She performs, she writes, but I see her as her own person. Like people will say to me like, oh, she's just like you. And I think that's a mistake. People would say that about my mom. And I would say we do similar things, but she's her own person.
Yes.
I love the person that she is. Like, I'm proud of her, but I don't get to take credit away from her efficacy. Like, she sees good examples, but she sees bad examples. Like, she's the first to point out my hypocrisy. Like, she'll say, oh, really? I don't think you took any stress management courses today, Mom. And you know how there's that saying, namaste?
Yes.
She has one for me. She says, Mama stay, when she feels something So she's lovely. We love her to death. I'm very fortunate to be a mom, and I see how I did have more time to run my business before she was born. So when she came into my life, it was really difficult to figure. I was still working for someone else and running my business and trying to teach also. It was insane. And nursing on the fly, and then pumping milk. And at some level, it just got so overwhelming, and I felt like we do too much. Like, how could I do all of this? I started scaling back. I started working less, actually, and I had more money and more freedom when I did less. And that's so ironic, right? But she taught me that I had to be pretty disciplined, because there are times when I'll say to her, okay, I didn't do what I was supposed to do today. And she's like, that has nothing to do with the stuff you promised me tonight. And it's very hard to say, okay, I didn't get organized today, so I can see you less. Like, to see her less as she's developing is not the choice I want to make. So she's helping me remember what's important. Like, I tumbled into bed. I think I told you offline. you know, with her last night. Like I don't normally go to bed whenever the children go to bed, but there are times actually she's up as late as we are. We can't put her to bed. But if I get a moment when she will go to sleep and realize she is a kid and needs rest, and just that curling up and cuddling with her, like reminded me what was important, you know? So I had another mompreneur in my life who said, my son is 18 and I don't remember at least 6 years of his life. Don't let that happen to you. So if anything's going to help that be balanced, is that other mom's testimony, because that would break my heart. It really would.
Absolutely. And I think it's the experience of a lot of moms, and it's a quite painful one, and something, you know, I had our daughter at 44. She's now 7. And I'm there for most of her events. Most definitely the critical ones, I'm always there. Sports and so on. Other moms would say to me, you know, these years you never get them back. It's one of the pieces that have stuck with me. Definitely stuck with me. We don't get them back. You really don't. And that sort of rang through in what this lady said to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. We don't. And one thing I want to say to any, you know, moms and folks listening is that even if you made that mistake where you've put them off, children are very resilient with an apology. They'll often forgive you quicker than you'll forgive yourself. So you can't undo something that you may have missed. Like I know some of my mompreneur clients have missed really important things that their children have done. And it's not that they haven't tried to get there. Planes have been delayed and flights have been canceled, and they've got like their child's recital back on another coast or in another country, and they are horrified, right? And so someone's called me from an airport just weeping, and I said, okay, so you can't be there, but can somebody let your child know that you're going to watch them through FaceTime, or can somebody film that for you or Skype it right now so you can see it? I mean, it's not the same as being there, but maybe you can have an intervention point. Or if that technology failed, you know, get a message to them and say, I'm so sorry, and, you know, make it up to them the best way you can. But you don't beat yourself up. And sometimes I think when we aren't always present for our children, we feel guilty and we can actually withdraw. And I think that I've even seen that in myself, like feel guilty and then not hug her as much, or see her like go off and do her own thing and think she's fine, and spend a lot of time working and then recognizing, you know, oh, she really needed me. And apologizing. But I will say this, like, get yourself away from them, the children, to get the work done. It's almost impossible once they come home, you know, from school, what have you, to feel like you're going to still be, even if you're still part of your work day, they don't understand that they see you. So there are times when I will just exit the home. My spouse is always saying, get out of the house and then you won't feel bad. But, you know, it's like I just want to see, I want everything, right? I want to see them. I want to hear about their day. I want to complete my work for clients. Like, it's difficult. I don't get to a point where it's perfect, you know, or ideal.
And what is perfect?
What is perfect, right? I think once we realize that doesn't exist, and there are times when I think just doing something really fun that doesn't involve a lot. I live in a community where education is really the top value. And the other last night, in fact, I convinced a bunch of women to go out and see a ridiculously silly movie that wasn't politically correct, and we weren't going to learn any life-altering things. We're just going to laugh. And about a dozen of us went, and all moms, and who never really go to the movies. And I'm a mom who actually goes to the movies. Like, I feel like I want to see what's going on. Other people are like, oh, we'll catch it like 20 years from now, or when it comes out of the Netflix. And I'm like, I watch all those shows too, but I want to go out. I pull women out of the trap of we always have to be here. We always have to be doing, because when we're happy, our families are happy.
Absolutely. When mama's happy, everybody is happy.
That's true.
So true. And when she's not, well, that's another story. But no, I do believe that to be true. You know, you spoke to self-care and self-love and cutting yourself some slack. I just heard all those pieces as you talked so honestly. Thank you so very honestly about what it is for you. And I think that's one of the biggest things that have come out of this Telesummit series. It's just the high degree of honesty that women on this planet have had about their lives. No one's tried to gloss it up, you know. It had some real heart to hearts, and I love it, and I deeply appreciate it because it's what our listeners are experiencing, you know. And I did not expect, I'll be honest, that degree and the consistency of that airing what really is, you know. But I'll tell you, I greatly appreciate it because our listeners need to know what, look, you know, God, these women have all cracked it. They're all rocking it. But God, they got bad days too.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. No.
Well, you should give yourself a lot of credit. You're easy to talk to, and you warm the heart. So I think it makes people feel safe to share, you know, the vulnerabilities. I think that's the gift that you bring. So that's probably why you're getting the responses that you're getting.
Oh, bless you.
Like, I feel like I've known you forever. It's the first time we've spoken, except for at pre. You know, I'm like, oh my God, when are we going to hang out? I've got to go over the pond.
Thinking about that movie night, you know, Michelle. Getting that number up to 13 the next time you and the girls are going, you know. Fly myself over.
Perfect. We would love to have you.
Oh, fantastic. I'm sure you'll be a hoot to head out with as well. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, as we kind of wind down here, the question that comes up now, yeah, it's our last one. God, this came up quickly, but you know, because it's just flowing so beautifully. What would you say is the number one habit, the number one strategy, and the number one insider secret that allowed you to become as successful as you are, and to sustain that as well? What would those three things be for you?
Sure. The number one habit is non-negotiable time for self-care. I make time every single day to make sure I've taken care of myself. Even if it's like the end of the day and I realize I've done nothing, I might go, oh, I missed my morning meditation. There's no harm in meditating now. So just being really non-negotiable about a particular habit that you know will refuel and recharge you. And for me, that's kind of self-care and self-love. The number one strategy for the business is really learning when to ask for help. I had a lot of ducks in a row in the early part, what I would trade for, how I would finance, what I would do, what accountant I'd see, lawyer, blah, blah. But making myself vulnerable about when I needed help is really a strategy now that I know, like, when do I need more assistance to grow the business, to scale, to add more people. Like, one area I need to grow is adding more staff. And so how do I do that? Looking at other examples of successful people, hiring for advice, hiring a coach, you know, knowing that if you're going to coach, you better have a coach.
Absolutely, yeah.
To hire you if you don't have a coach, right?
That's right. That's right.
And I think an insider secret is that it's all wonderful. Like even the struggles are wonderful. Like what my pain, trauma, and loss have taught me are how to be present with other people in the worst moments in their lives. So I can take all of my mistakes, grief, losses, struggles, fears, and turn that into lessons for others. And recognizing that you're right, we just never reach this place of perfection because it doesn't exist. And being really strategic about where you're going to put your time and your energy, right? Because more is going to flow from that. So the more rigid and hard you are on yourself, the more fixed and tied up your money becomes.
Yeah.
Right? But the more open you are with yourself and kind to yourself, and that makes you more kind to your clients. It makes you offer them more, serve them more. The more they're going to refer to you, the more abundant your life is really going to become. And so I think when we're stuck and struggling, it's okay to share that you just need some help to move on, and kind of having your business in a system where you kind of do the same things every day and you repeat them, keep those habits in place, helps you keep replicating that success and helps you build upon it. So, you know, it's always an improvisation, even with the best strategy and notes, and understanding that even if you have your systems down, your habits down, your behaviors down, your non-negotiables, something can be thrown into your lap in your life that you weren't expecting, right? And so that is, you're not going to have the schedule that day, but if you have the techniques and the tools, you'll rebound faster, quicker, better, and get back, you know?
Oh, that's pure gold. Pure gold. Thank you for sharing that. So I, you know, I'm nodding here, going, you know, listeners are probably going, oh, she's fooling about. But it's so true. It's so very, very true. The last piece you said here about having those systems down, and you know, whatever, use my word, monkey wrench comes your way, you rebound faster. And you really do. You need to have that. Asking for help, isn't that something that's quite difficult for a lot of us women as a whole to do, though?
Sure.
You know, because of, I guess, our fear of judgment, how others would perceive us.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, also because we've given so much to somebody else in their time of need, we may not want to break the mystique. We don't have it all together, you know, and sometimes we do put that pressure on others that they be solid, strong rocks for us, and that they never have a bad moment. You know, how many times when you ask somebody how they are is not the answer 98% of the time or 99.9% of the time, fine.
Yeah.
And then I can tell by body language or eye contact if that's true or not. And then I'll say, I really care. How are you?
Yes.
You get a very different response.
Yes.
Yeah.
All comes out, yes. Michelle, you said, excuse me, be kind to yourself, and it makes you kinder to others. And I think that is so beautiful and so powerful, so poignant. I think that's the note on which to wrap up this interview that I don't really want to wrap up.
Me either.
We could chat forever.
Yeah, we really
could.
Here
in the UK, you know, we could talk for England, you know, but no, this, I really, I want to draw that piece down. Be kind to yourself, and it makes you kinder to others. It's so true. It's so very, very true. So our listeners here, you know, I know you will take your own nuggets from this. I definitely have a, you know, ton load of nuggets to take from this. It's all been wonderful. Thank you so very, very much. Yeah, thank you so very much for sharing this. Can you tell us about your free gift? Your free gift offer before we wrap up all together. Don't want to forget that.
Sure. Well, I'm an overachiever, so there's 4 gifts.
Oh my goodness.
So just be able to watch a video with me talking about sleep and the importance of eating while, sleeping well, and being kind to yourself. A free ebook on getting more sleep, the best sleep hacks that I've come up with, because I think sleep is the core for us, you know, leaders. And you'll also have the chance to take a meditation. So it's a meditation, and then listening to a sleep summit, actual live call that I did with clients from around the world, talking about how they're trying to get more sleep. And so if you kind of buzz into all of these offers, then once you get through that, which they're fun listening because I try to tell some jokes, you'll be able to hop on a call and for free ask me any question you want about getting more sleep, working you know, less and making more, etc. So those are the offers, and it'll be up on my page. It'll be under free, MichelleCourtneyberry/free.
Yes, fantastic. That is sheer abundance right there. Very, very generous of you. And a very critical topic as well, because as women, we all need sleep, but apparently medically, we actually need more. We get less. We get less sleep than men, but we actually do need more.
It's true.
We do need more. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your very generous free gift offer. And to our listeners, thank you again for showing up here for another amazing interview. And do come back because we've got some other wonderful, powerful women coming up. Michelle, thank you so much. We're going to sign off and say goodbye, but do stay on. I'd like to check in with you after. Arrange that movie night.
Perfect. That's wonderful. We can't wait to see you. Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
It's been an absolute blast. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Great. I just